Hey everyone, happy World Carnivorous Plant Day and happy 5th anniversary to World Carnivorous Plant Day. My name is Jeff Kung, and today I'm going to go over 5 signs your Cephalotus follicularis are in trouble. And I'll have 5 solutions for every single one of those too. So stay tuned, we're going to be getting right to it. I had the good fortune of learning everything I know about cephalotus from California Carnivorous in their wonderful series of videos on YouTube about cephalotus care. They have an ultimate guide about cephalotus care that's just phenomenal. But Daniela, I'm still waiting for the repot video for cephalotus. Anyway, let's get to the first issue. One of the biggest issues with cephalotus is watering. It's probably the most critical thing that happens to cephalotus, where they get overwatered or severely underwatered. Overwater is very dangerous. They will end up with rotten roots, and the pitchers will die off very quickly after that. But if you're underwatering your cephalotus, they will get these kind of droopy lids, whereas this right now isn't really drooping because of underwatering. These guys are drooping because they've been repotted and they're just sort of unhappy right now. But for a cephalotus that is underwatered, the lid will be very pliable. This is pretty stiff, so that's okay. But for cephalotus that are underwater, they will have very limp lids. In severely underwatered cephalotus, their pitchers will be very soft all around. All the pitchers will be pretty soft to the touch. For well-watered cephalotus, they'll have a nice tough feel to them, almost leathery. So if your cephalotus are super soft, immediately water them. But these guys are nice and hard to the touch. It feels like almost like a ping pong ball. So the issue with spider mites, they're horrible. They're just evil little creatures, and they're super tiny. They're really hard to see. Luckily, they create a webbing that is pretty noticeable. They're just white spider webs, and it's not like one of those circular spider webs that you think of like from Charlotte's Web. They're kind of a netted type of look to it, and they're fairly easy to spot. But when they get a hold of your cephalotus, they will start chewing it up and killing off tissue, because they suck up the sap from inside the tissues. They are sometimes very difficult to find. What I find useful is actually using my photography. I use an iPhone to capture videos and pictures to post on Instagram, but I also use it to really look closely at each plant, and in this case each picture, and I zoom in and I take tons of pictures, and if there are spider webs, you'll see them very easily, and sometimes you'll even see the spiders crawling up and down in them and stuff. So what do I do to treat them? I use a couple of products. I use Floramite or Aphid, and both of those are pretty strong miticides. They should be used outdoors so you don't breathe in the fumes. They can be kind of toxic, so use it outside, spray outside, so you don't get any of the fumes in your house. But do a couple of treatments a week apart, and then apply again as needed. If you catch it early enough, you won't have any problems. It'll take care of it, and they don't come back. One note about spider mites: if you do carry it outside, make sure you cover your plant with a plastic bag or something, because spider mites actually get carried on the wind. With their webs, they can actually shoot it up in the air, and they can get carried away through just a small draft. So make sure you cover your cephalotus, carry it outside, then do your treatment out there. You don't want to spread this to any of your other plants, because they are literally the most horrible pest that you can get. Another problem that's pretty common with cephalotus is powdery mildew. And powdery mildew will show up like a little patch of white, cottony looking substance on the picture. Often it'll be on the side of it, and it'll just look like a white patch, but over time it'll start growing. And it's important to catch powdery mildew early, because what happens is when you actually see the powdery mildew on the surface, the little white patches, what that means is they've already infiltrated the interior of your cephalotus. They've gotten into the tissue, and then when they are ready to reproduce, they will send out the cottony looking tufts of whiteness to the surface so they can spread even more. So when you see powdery mildew, right away what you want to do is spray with a sulfur-based fungicide. And I have some right here. This is a Safer brand garden fungicide, and it is sulfur-based, and it's good for powdery mildew as well as rust and black spot, which doesn't really affect cephalotus. That's more for like roses, I guess. But because it's a sulfur-based product, it will leave a little bit of a residue on your plant, but that's just cosmetics, really. You can eventually wipe that off, but it will control and take care of the powdery mildew for you. But again, what's really important is catching it early, and photography again will help that. Getting in close with the camera, and sometimes I don't even notice it until I look at the pictures afterwards. I'm like, hey, what's that little white spot? And then I'll go back and look more carefully, and sure enough, it's powdery mildew. As soon as you see it, spray it, and it'll take care of it. Do a second application a week later, just in case there's some left behind, and then you should be good to go. All right, now the fourth issue that you can run into are aphids, and the aphids are pretty much just as bad as spider mites, but they're easier to see. They will suck the sap out of your plants, and cephalotus are no different. They love cephalotus. You can see them often in between pictures. Sometimes they're deep inside, way in the center of the colony. So if you start to see kind of deformed looking pictures or deformed looking leaves, that's one of the first things I'll look for are aphids. And one of the telltale signs that you have aphids, besides actually seeing the bugs themselves, is they grow pretty quickly, and they leave behind an exoskeleton. They have an outer covering just like most insects that they have to shed when they grow bigger. And when they shed, they leave behind these little white shells of their bodies. And those are pretty noticeable because they stand out. They're white. And if you see those, you can be sure that there's aphids in there somewhere. So what I like to use is a pyrethrin-based insecticide. In this case, this is Monterey brand Takedown garden spray. And like I said, it's a pyrethrin-based product, which is relatively safe, except for bugs and aphids. You'll probably want to spray it once, and then again a week later, just in case any of the eggs that they may have laid hatch in the meantime. And sometimes I'll even do a third application just to be sure. But once you use the insecticide, they don't usually come back for a while. So the fifth and final issue are dead pitchers. When you get dead pitchers, you want to pull them out. Luckily, dried up dead pitchers are very easy to pull out. I'll show you a video of me doing that. But basically, you just pinch the pitcher near its body and just pull straight out. And what that'll do is it'll more likely detach at the base of the stem. You'll get this long stem at the back of the pitcher. And the main reason why you want to do that, pull out dead pitchers, is not just because it makes it tidier looking and neater looking. It also removes a possible mold source. Like if you leave the dead pitchers on, they could end up molding. And if the mold gets a hold of live tissue, that could wreck your plant easily, very quickly. They'll infiltrate the live tissue and cause all kinds of problems. So regular dead pitcher pulling is recommended, and it's very easy. What happens is, let me show you with the one that I already pulled out. You get that stem that breaks off when you pull it out. This is very easy to take off, and so it's not that hard of a chore. And you can see here, I've got a whole bunch of dead pitchers here that I pulled out yesterday. So it's good to go through there and pull those guys out when needed. Like some of these are ready to go, and as soon as they turn brown and crispy, that's when I pull them out. Okay, bonus issue. I've not had any problems with this, knock on wood. But it's called mealy bugs. And mealy bugs are very, very difficult to find because what they do is they don't go on the surface of the plant. They like to go and burrow inside the very center of the plant or under pitchers. If you have a bunch of moss, they often will live under the moss. So they're hard to find. If you see that your plant is suffering for some reason, that's one thing you can check for, is to look under the pitchers and under any moss that's growing in your pot to see if you can find them. Luckily, they're easy to find once you lift up a pitcher or some moss, because they create this very dense, thick, cottony matting that's also a little bit hydrophobic. So they're very difficult to actually spray. So what you want to do is get in there with a poker or something to break up the netting that they create, and then use the pesticide. And the pesticide that California Carnivorous recommends is this stuff called Tall Star. And you spray that in there, and it should take care of it. You want to spray the entire plant, get in all the nooks and crannies, get inside deep, and get inside the soil as well, because there are some mealy bugs that actually live in the soil. Devious little monsters. So that's one thing, luckily, I haven't had the fortune of having. But if you do, that's what you do. Use Tall Star, spray it thoroughly inside the middle of the colony, and soak the soil. Well, I hope you enjoyed this 5-year anniversary of World Carnivorous Plant Day video on 5 things that can go wrong with your Cephalotus follicularis. If you enjoyed this, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And if you liked it, please give a thumbs up. Also, you can find me on Instagram at pinecone.jeff.carnivores, and I have that same handle for my YouTube channel as well as on Threads. Happy World Carnivorous Plant Day.
surprise that gardeners, educators, and scientists are fascinated by these unique plants. The International Carnivorous Plant Society, or ICPS, not only love these plants, but welcomes growers just getting started all the way through professional scientists. The ICPS even started an annual World Carnivorous Plant Day to celebrate them. The free online event is held the first Wednesday of May. Take a look around our website and you'll find historic documents about carnivorous plants, growing guides, free educational resources, and more. Have questions? Ask. We don't bite, but our plants do.